Hello. My apologies. Oh my goodness. I am late. And I do. Please accept my heartfelt apologies. It is I, Whimsy. The Oracle. That's the Oracle of Whimsy to you. Thank you very much. I want you to know that I've earned this title, for I am indeed whimsical. I was born and bred, bat mitzvahed, a whimsy. Yes, I was. I was the first. Now, I haven't coalesced the data yet, but I believe I was the first whimsy bat mitzvahed at Temple Beth Israel, right here in beautiful Portland, Oregon. Yes, when was that? We won't tell you when that was. Was that 1978? When did I bat mitzvah? A rollicking good time was had by all. Yes. The arugula flowed. Yes. The sisterhood spared no expense. Yes. Anyway, great to see you all as we come together on this very beautiful Sunday. I don't know if you can see where I am. I am in beautiful Portland, Oregon. I am the official oracle of the great city of Portland. If you've ever seen Portlandia, then you're going to be at home here. You're going to feel right at home if you can connect with Portlandia, because gosh darn it, I'm your girl. Let's get a little closer. Oh, you know you love it. You love spending time with me every Sunday. Yes, and that is what we do. So if you haven't joined us yet, be sure and share, like, and subscribe. This is our Sunday show. We have a lot of fun. We talk about whatever is on your mind, Pumpkin, but we do have a floor director, and he's strict. Yes, he gets our cue cards up and running usually 5 to 10 minutes before we go live, and that's why we love him. Everybody give a shout out to our very own Joel Tilson. I've had 2 people ask if he is taking other jobs. If you need to contact him about work, that would be Joel Tilson at msn.com, I believe. He can go ahead and repost it. I don't negotiate. He doesn't work. I'm not his manager. If you need floor directors for your shows, you'd have to talk to him directly. Workout payment, all that good stuff. Anyway, has anybody had a chance to get the book of the month? We have a book of the month that I want to announce it. It is quite interesting. Who here has? Yes, I've got to get myself organized. I'm a little disorganized today, but it's very good to see you all. Yes, and be sure and tell us who you are. Be sure and say hi to us. Saying hi to us is important. Yes. So it would be great if you could turn to the person, the virtual person to the left, and the virtual person to the right, and say hi. Tell us your name. That would be awesome, because this brunch starts in Portland, Oregon, but it don't end in Portland, Oregon. It just, yes, it does. It does its thing. Yes. I'm just looking for our charity. I had a request if I could go back to the American Forest fundraiser. I have to find it. We may have to start it again. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so if you are having fun today and you would like to help with the forest fires that are currently happening, we have forest fires in Oregon, Washington, California, and all over the country. Things have gotten pretty bad. We are raising funds today for AmericanForest.org. AmericanForest.org is the oldest conservation organization in the United States. I believe it was built in the late 19th century, and it is endorsed by Al Gore. We've been a huge fan of American Forest for a very long time, and for every dollar that you donate to AmericanForest.org, a tree will be planted. So they have projects all over North America, and I think that includes Canada and Mexico as well. For example, they are doing a lot of work preserving the monarch butterfly migration, and also various different wildlife that depend on good tree stewardship. So it's not just about planting the trees, but the stewardship to make sure that we're not dealing with fire hazards, etc. All right, so that is who we're raising funds for. Think about donations. It would be awesome. All right, now the book of the month, From Abuse to Enlightenment by Diana Reimer. It is an intense book. It has dark aspects. It is autobiography. Trigger warning, it deals with issues of trauma and abuse in explicit detail. So if that upsets you, or if you're afraid you're going to be triggered, you may want to pass on our book of the month. Or you may feel like you really want to hear Diana's story. I feel it's a life worth speaking about because it's pretty horrific, and 3% of the general population is a psychopath, has a severe personality disorder, and unfortunately Diana had a parent with that disorder and survived it, and so she's on the other side. Talking about her path to healing, and I'm very excited about this book. I love the whole symbolism of it. I love the idea of turning poison into medicine. I love the idea and the symbol of the pink lotus that emerges from the mud and the ugly, that the bodhisattvas of the earth come from the dirt and the muck and the yuck, and from that comes the glory, comes the crown, right? The crown that comes with having survived and thrived and gone on to be a really wonderful human being. So that interview will be this Tuesday. I believe that will be the 11th, and that'll be at 6 p.m. Of course, Diana's call time will be earlier, and she will get that invitation from me hopefully in the next couple days. All right, awesome possum. That is the book. Check it out. And I made a ton of notes already because as I read this book, I'm just thinking of all of the questions I want to ask Diana Reimer. Yeah, and she has some beautiful questions you can ask yourself as you go into this beautiful healing work. Even if you experience extreme trauma, there are no limits. There are no limits if you're a human being to what you can achieve and what you can overcome. Human beings are pretty remarkable. All right, so we've got the cue cards up. Let's go ahead. We'll go through all of them. And of course, I would love to hear your feedback. We will be taking in the empath's prayer in just a bit. And then we will offer you a collective reading, what Spirit wants us to know for the week. We want to bring that in. So what's on the menu today? We're going to open up the floor. We're going to take a look at some of the cue cards that Joel has kindly organized. We're going to do the empath's prayer. Of course, if you would like to receive a healing at this time, or you have somebody you know who would like to receive a healing at this time, you can go ahead and give us your name or the name of the person you want us to pray for, and we'll include them in the empath's prayer as we bring the empath's prayer in. Then we'll do the collective reading for the week, and then after that we will blitz away. How does that sound? Does that work for you? Does that sound like a rockin' good time? Rockin' party? Good time? Let the good times roll? Awesome possum. Let's do this thing. I'm excited. All right. First question coming in from Joel Tilson. Putin's FSB is closing Russia's borders and controlling Moscow and other cities. Why? Don't you think that they're marching on Moscow, Joel? If you knew the 5 phases, and I think it's public information now that we are well into phase 5, I think it's, there's no secrets anymore. We can have this conversation. Um, what do you think? You know that phase 4 is that they want to put hands on Putin, and they're going to do to him what they did to Moscovitz. What was his name? The guy, the Serbian guy that wound up going to prison. Milosevic. So the way to get a hold of somebody like Milosevic is that your own people have to hand you over, right? That's pretty terrifying. Well, you have to agree with what became of Milosevic? Did he die in prison? I mean, Milosevic. The trial of Milosevic. That's what they want. I mean, they've been very clear. The West has been very clear. President Biden has been very clear. We want the West, we want to put hands on Vladimir Putin. That at this point, those of us who still believe in the West, that aren't completely collapsed due to propaganda, but those of us who still believe in the West, think that he's committed crimes against humanity. And so the West, the Hague, wants to put hands on Putin. So if you know that, and if you know that that's been the long game for a while, then you would look to the status of the Milosevic case. He died of a heart attack while in prison before his war crimes. Some people believe he was poisoned so that he wouldn't name names. Right? Who do you think would have poisoned him? Yeah, so basically they weren't able to, he died, I think probably to protect names. Serbian domestic authorities. Yeah, so basically they handed him over to the West. And I think that what happened, I think that's very likely what it would happen also if that were to happen and they were to hand Putin over to the West, using Milosevic as kind of like a model for that. I think that Putin would probably be dead in his cell before he had a chance to name names. I don't think it would make its way past. I think we would probably see the demise of Putin just as we saw the demise of Milosevic, if it gets to that point. And I think if I knew the 5 phases, and everybody does, because it's all open now, I think if I knew the 5 phases, and phase 4 is that they're going to put hands on me, they're listening to Grok, right? This is this danger also of artificial intelligence. How did Whimsy know this was all going to happen? I started doing data collection for my doctoral degree. And the supercomputer, now they monitor it. This is before it was controlled. Now they've started controlling what Grok can say. But Grok used to just be, the Grok that was available to people that paid for it was the same exact Grok that the Pentagon was using. So I was asking the same questions that the Pentagon was asking. So I was like, well, what about this? What about this protocol? What about this? Ceasefire, exchange of hostages, send Hamas to host country, begin rebuild, Putin should be arrested. If you put him in the Hague, then he doesn't die a martyr. If you put him in the Hague, then you look humane. If you put him in the Hague, there was a whole list. It was a 72-hour sprint to put this together, by the way. mailed to the IDF at 3:53 in the morning to give you the manic state I was in. Yes. Um, yeah, because I'm working on my dissertation through. I was applying at Haifa U. I actually went to their open house today online. Was rather cool. But anyway, so you could debate with artificial intelligence, right? Which I did. And I'm sure the Pentagon debated with them. I'm sure MI6 debated. I'm sure Mossad definitely got a copy of this and said, we already know this. We knew this 5 years ago. Amateur, right? But it was fun for me to put this together just for myself and say, ooh, I know what's coming. I know what the data's showing. And you look at it and you think, oh, poor Pootie. Poor Pootie. Oh, you do feel bad for him. Can you imagine what his parents think of him? But anyway, so we're already in phase 5. Yes, yes, speak now or ever hold your peace. Yes. So we are in phase 5. They are now dismantling the Iranian leadership. Moshtaba is most likely dead. They're now admitting he was seriously injured and he might. What they're saying is he's dying. This is what they've said. He's already dead. But they have to kind of like ease the people in. So they took out Iranian leadership and then they took out the leadership, the following leadership, right? And so now Saudi Arabia and some other military are going in. There's a couple different military. We also have Morocco, hundreds of Moroccan soldiers. Remember, the Bedouins would come in and the Bedouins would would create oasis. Well, you guessed it, Morocco is a Bedouin culture. It's North African Bedouins. Who was the first to go into oasis construction? 200 Bedouins from Morocco. People know what they're doing. This is the Abraham Accords. This is a new baby. The new baby's being born, right? So you go back to your question, Joel, and you know the answer. So when you look at the data that that the West has, that they've organized based on the data that they have their plan. If you know phase 4 is that they're going to arrest you and hand you over to trial so that you won't be a martyr. If you die in the bunker, then you're going to become a cult, right? Just like Hitler became a cult, right? So if you're talking about just least amount of deaths calculated, which was the original calculation, they have to think about whether or not what they're creating 20 years down the road, right? And they don't want to make him a martyr, and they don't want to make the Iranian leadership. So when they speak about dismantling, they're not talking about dismantling the entire government. Parts of the government will survive. They're talking about dismantling a certain section that is hardline IRGC, that is and is against the will of the people, which is moderate, like the president, etc. So the president will survive. Parts of the military that wanted to do a coup to take down IRGC, parts of the IRGC that want to take the IRGC down. So that whole process is happening now. Putin would have no choice, given that they're phase 4, then he would probably have to do everything in his power to begin to centralize and protect himself. Hamas has agreed to phase 2. That's now public information. The ceasefire in the phase 2 and the phase 3 was announced by Biden. But Hamas is getting taken in by about 3 or 4 different countries, one of them being Turkey, which I have to say surprised a lot of people. But I think people are just so anxious to start the rebuild that's why that's going on. All right, let's come together. Let's do a kumbaya. Kumbaya. Yeah, peace, love, and harmony. And let's go ahead and say hi to everybody who has decided to join us today. Tell us what you're eating, what you're drinking, where you're coming from, and all that good stuff. We say Desiree is in the house. Internal Sound Bites is here, as is Aline Levin. Dark, oh, Darlene Teasdale. What the fuck now? I think that's what she's saying. Yes, every other Tuesday. You're right, sweetheart. Trump is sinking in the polls. We're seeing a split in the Republican Party, but we're also seeing a split in the Democratic Party. Maybe we need 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 parties. I'm game if you are. You know, the Democratic wide net was never good. It never worked. You had pro-life Democrats, pro-life meaning anti-women's rights, right? Control their own body, right? That's my own opinion. And then you also had the progressives and you had the corporate Dems. So it was never a solid tent. Democrats are in trouble with a split. We're seeing that. But Republicans are facing a split now as well. 4 parties, that's the answer. I have no problem with it. It works for Europe. Multiple parties. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Deb. Hot and muggy Ohio. Oh, dear. I do love Ohio. For some bizarre reason, when I'm in Ohio, I feel good. It just works for me. I don't know if I have a Jupiter line going through Ohio, but that Ohio River and the clean air, I just feel good when I'm in Ohio. Some places you just have a good feeling about. Ohio, there are areas of Ohio that have extremely, Ohio Valley and the Rib, that extremely good quality air, and it's just a great state. Jiggy Pardo in the house. Yeah, I think it's one of the better states. If you're looking at clean air and livability, is the beautiful state of Ohio's awesome. Yeah. Mariel W. Several psychics say that parts of Portland, Oregon will have to be evacuated due to biohazard events. Do you see that too? No, I don't. No, I think we're going to be fine. The only major concern that would fall in the category of a hazard would be Mount St. Helens erupting again. And there, you know, that is, and forest fires. If because we live in the middle of a forest. Portland, Oregon is a city inside of a forest. And we have more parks and more forest space inside of a major city than any city in the United States, if you're looking about per mile, etc. For example, we have Forest Park. So the big events that we're concerned about are forest fires and Mount St. Helens. I agree with Mr. Musk, who talks about monitoring. I don't agree with him politically on anything, but on the sciences, I think he brings up some curiosities. And mega volcanoes. You know, if we have 50 mega volcanoes, and we know that volcanoes may have played a part in the past of creating nuclear winters, which could take out much of life as we know it, then monitoring mega volcanoes is as being the, if we're looking at about a major event that could take out life as we know it, it's mega volcanoes. There's something else to be terrified about. We have to do more than monitor them. We have to reduce the pressure. Now geoseismologists, geophysicists are going in, and it's like they're drilling holes to let off some steam so that we never have a major event, because a major event will take us out. Mm-hmm. There are 50. Mm-hmm. Yep. There are a few in Hawaii. There's a couple in Africa. Like in church, absolutely. Say hi to your brothers and sisters. Hi, Whimsy. Hi, Jazzy. Janet from Chicago. Oh, stormy day. You get that humidity. I love Chicago because, you know what I love to do when I'm in Chicago? Chicago has that old world feel. I like to go to eat and listen to music when I'm in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good entertainment. But now they've become as expensive as New York. When did that happen? Somebody told me I'm going to the wrong place to get my tickets in Chicago. Whenever I'm there, I try to go to musicals and stuff. You're doing it wrong. Well, I don't know how to do it right. But you guys got too expensive on us. Internal sound bites. Will you be addressing all those political? Oh, of course, darling. Always. Kelsey in Nova Scotia in the house. Low audio. Oh. Really? Let me take a look. Audio. My Scarlet. Yes. Okay, that looks like it's down. Edit mic's settings. Why is it not going up? How's that? Better? Oh, right. Oh, right. Okay, I increased the sound for you, love. I've increased the sound. All right, Gloria. Gloria, darling. All for you. It's all for you, cheeky poo. Oh, Debbie Brady in the house. Oh, hello, darling. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, let's come together and do the empath prayer, and then we'll give you a collective, and then we will blitz away. Why do I feel like everything is a little bit just... Are we in another... What do they call that? What do they call that when you... Oh, are we... How are we... We're not in another Mercury retrograde, are we? Oh, give it nice little bit. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say Amen. And for those people who are requesting healings today, we come together as a community and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again collectively we say Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with a collective. I have no idea what's going on with my special effects for some bizarre reason. I've been playing with the visuals. Yes, but they're not giving me what I want. And I don't know why. Do you guys want me to be original, bright, dark, soft? Hello, darling. Those kind. Or original, or warm and toasty. Hello. Or cool and bitter. Original? Yes, we're having fun. Oh, I'm playing. I just want to look 20 years younger. Yes. If you could do that for me. Make me younger. Yes. Oh, it's not working. It's not working. All right, Spirit. This message... Thank you all for being here. This is the collective reading. It applies to you at the time that you have seen this reading. We hope that it gives you guidance. Anything that does not serve you can be passed down to the next person. This is a smorgasbord of ideas. It's a smorgasbord of ideas based on what we think about when we think about Carl Jung's love of the tarot and archetypes, right? So let it work with you, the message, and see how it can work with you, through you, and assist you. Okay, Spirit, what is your message for this group? What do we need to know at this time to be healthy, happy, and safe? All right. It is good that things are changing. Gloria, Joel, internal sound bites, Debbie Brady, and everybody else that's listening. I'm just riffing, I'm just naming names of people I see here today. Know this to be true. It is good that things are changing. It is part of the natural order that things are changing, and it is necessary for your growth and your spiritual evolution and for your evolution as a human being that things are changing. We're not supposed to stay the same. Things are not supposed to things are not supposed to stay the same. So the base of the matter, the message for you at this time is death. Death is all around us, and we shouldn't view death as the enemy. We are grieving the loss of our colleague right now, Diana Aquarius, a beautiful soul, dearly loved, who did everything in her power to be a responsible adult. She was a whole foods, plant-based, vegan, gluten-free. She monitored her protein. She monitored her greens. She knew precisely what she was doing. She was extremely responsible with her health. And yet things happen. Sometimes we're born with a genetic challenge, autoimmune conditions, accidents can happen. We don't know. So we have to do everything in our power to take care of ourselves, but we also recognize that things can happen, that things change, and that death is all around us. But it's also a necessary process, that if death didn't happen, there wouldn't be all the great things that come with it, like sex and reproduction and babies. If nobody ever died, there would be no new life, right? So death is part of the natural cycle. When we think about the Hebrew calendar, we see a circle, and we're going round and round and round in this circle, repeating the same energy over and over and over again. And that's what we see with the Wheel of Fortune. So the main thing to understand is that if you are hearing this right now, you are going through a profound shift, okay? You are going through some stuff. And it's not just stuff like before. This is some serious stuff. You're going through some serious stuff. The other thing to know is it's not just that you're going through some serious changes, but your karma card is the Ace of Wands. So being able to let the old you go is good for you. If you're holding on to old ideas that don't suit you, old ideas about how you think your life should have turned out. What did you know? You were 19. What did you know? You were, 10, right? The ideas that we have, it's, part of shadow work. The biggest part of shadow work is remembering the decisions that you made when you were 5 years old and didn't know any better. Of course I said that. I was 5 years old. I didn't know any better, right? So death is a part of this idea that you are growing, you are transforming, and you are letting go of old aspects of yourself. And you may say, well, who the hell am I? You are not the same person you were yesterday. You are ever changing. It is part of the natural cycle. You are not the person you were yesterday. You are an ever-changing being, and you will be changed tomorrow. And tomorrow, the person you are at this moment will never be again. They're dead. That person is dead now. Because with every moment, you're learning new information and you're making new choices that take you further and further from who you used to be. So that's the process. The fact that your karma card is the Ace of Wands also tells us that you are moving towards a sense of power and away from this learned helplessness towards an entrepreneurship or an independence or a personal sense of power that's vital to you. You may feel that you've spent much of your life having to protect or defend yourself, right? So 7 of Wands is in the first house. Interesting. You know, there's this story in Stoicism about a big boulder in the way of a road and how people came to the boulder and the boulder had been placed there by a king and he wanted to see what people would do and people just moved around the boulder. And sometimes moving around the boulder became an even bigger problem. They had to climb around. They had to go through all this maneuvering simply because they couldn't come up with a way or didn't want to make an effort to move the boulder. And then finally somebody comes up with a clever way to move the boulder. And when he moves the boulder, there's a note from the king and he has the jewels, right? There are jewels underneath the boulder. So this led to Ryan Holiday writing the book, The Obstacle is the Way. If something keeps coming in your direction and hitting you as an obstacle, consider the possibility that it may not necessarily be a bad thing, right? So defending yourself or the process of the struggle that you may find yourself in right now is why you have achieved mastery. The struggle has made you a master. Medical school was a burden, right? Days when I didn't think I would make it through medical school, right? So, but the obstacle was the way. The more of adversity I faced, the more I embraced the struggle, the more successful I was going to be as a physician, rather than fighting or trying to evade the struggle. Does that make sense? What is above you, reaching out to other people, and a strong spiritual path, how you can bring art and beauty into the world. The Lovers is a path of least resistance. It's also peace and communications. It's the ability to reach across the aisle and find common ground. This is the Wheel of Fortune we were talking about earlier. Round and round and round it goes, always having to readdress the old problems. The question is, now you know more and you are no longer the person you used to be, and so you can handle those problems or deal with them differently. Many of you are coming out of, maybe you came from larger family units and now you're focusing more on business. Many of you may find your social life is getting smaller and your work is becoming more directed. And that's very common also. As we get older, we think about our legacy. We don't have as many years left. We've got a list of things we want to achieve, and we're very focused on achieving them. You know, so the Queen of Pentacles is, trying to start new things, new business, new opportunities, moving away from Ten of Cups, which is more large families, large family events. It could also be living in a large family, or the happy home, the happy family, entering now into the time of the Queen of Pentacles, and she's more business oriented. Stay consistent in your health responsibilities, like my allergy, my sinus thing. Your house of opposition is fear of poverty. So the other thing is that by dedicating and learning what you can to create businesses, a lot of y'all are starting your own business or entrepreneurship, because Ace of Wands is an entrepreneur's card and Queen of Pentacles is a businesswoman. Your house of opposition is fear of poverty. Your hope and fear is mastery. Mastery and leaving a legacy becomes increasingly urgent for you. There's this idea that if we don't achieve mastery and a legacy, we'll keep having to reincarnate. Anything at this point, people say, well, what should I attempt to master? I'm like, grab an accordion. What are those? What are those flutes? What are those recorders? You guys ever watch the two-set violin? They're these violin maestros. Yeah, they're with the some philharmonic in, some symphony in, they're in a symphony in Australia. It's not Sydney, it's the place that starts with a B. Anyway, they brought on a person to show how to play. This is a soprano, Baroque. But this is one of the first things that if you're looking at something to master and you want to increase your lung volume, but there's a spiritual process that happens. I know, I still haven't used it. It blocks off. I used to know how to do this, how to create a C and a D and play things. And I do have this, and then I also have a penny whistle. And these are really vital to lung health, particularly if you're practicing outside. Here's another one. This is the penny whistle. This is the English penny whistle, similar to some of the musical instruments that were used at that time, basically Iron Age. Yeah, a lot of their wooden stuff was destroyed, it decomposed, but some of it was preserved in the bogs. All right, listen. So focusing on mastery and legacy comes up a lot for you folks, and acknowledging that the old ways are gone, this sense of death, but also embracing it because it's necessary to your growth. You are no longer the person you were yesterday. And your family dynamics could be changing as well, because there's something here about the possibility that old relationships and possibly even family members, you love them, but that doesn't necessarily mean they should be living with you or that you can have them in your life on a regular basis. Yeah, and let yourself grow, even if it means moving away from people, family, and friends that were once close. Yeah. That is your reading. You will figure it out. Whatever your problem is, you will figure it out. All right, without further ado, we will blitz away. I'm going to go back to my cue cards. Thank you so much, Joel. I think we've already got a pretty good idea of why Putin is scared, because he knows they're trying to arrest him. Are we marching on Moscow? That is the question I would be asking my floor director right about now, since he's the expert when it comes to international politics. But I think so, yeah. I think, unfortunately, it's gotten to that point that if he didn't stop this thing, if Putin didn't stop this thing, it was going to get to a point where the West has, it's like he's provoking them to do it. He's very stressed out. He feels like he's burned his britches. He doesn't know where to go. And China keeps talking about, let's continue to talk about it. He's not getting promises from Xi. He's getting jerk-arounds. Let's talk about it. Let's continue to keep the line of communication open, which is a passive-aggressive way of Xi saying, I'm not going to do anything, but because I haven't committed to anything, you can't attack me. You can't. So Xi isn't doing anything to help him. In fact, quite the opposite. Xi is, I understand your struggle. Let's keep talking about this. Meanwhile, delay, and you have this 9 of Swords. For Putin, his house of opposition is the Queen of Swords, who cuts through the BS, cuts through the clouds, truth, and she's often hangs around in courthouses. What you thinking? Hopes and fears, his job. Archangel Gabriel, who comes to bring the work, is closest to the earth of all of the archangels. Who's closest to the hell realm? If Gabriel is the main angel to view this world, who's the closest in the hell realm? A lot of y'all know this, but it's, if you were raised Catholic, you have the answer. Not Lucifer. I mean, Lucifer, yes, but Beelzebub and all of them. Michael, Archangel Michael can descend into hell. Yes, he's got a round trip ticket anytime he wants. Michael fights the devil and wins, right? So, in terms of cosmology, if you see Michael come, it's not like a demon can hide in a back door in some remote area of hell when Michael shows up, because Michael has got his sword and he's got his radar. I know which demon, right? So that is the power of Michael. Michael can fight has the sword of truth. Devil is also associated with lying, dishonesty, and what we see in psychopaths, the reptilian brain, right? What's interesting, we talk about the reptilian brain, right? No prefrontal cortex, no sense of right and wrong. This idea of the reptilian imagery. And then Michael's imagery is the sword of truth, whereas the psychopath, it's all about gaslighting and pathological lying. So it's interesting to see how in the modern world we see these images of truth being the sword of truth, being on the side of good, and then the devil being on the side of pathological lying, etc. So there's courts over Putin, and again, this could be international courts calling for his arrest. I'm telling you, this guy thinks he's going to be Milosevic. It's out. Then they're going to poison him, or he's going to have to take his own life while in prison, which is what they think happened to Milosevic, because they wanted him to name names, accomplices. He was struck down by Oshun. That is his future. Putin will be struck down by Oshun. His enemy. His house of enemy comes Oshun. She is the queen of the witches. She brings the black cat. Her dress is yellow or orange. The sunflower is her symbol. She seeks justice absolute, and she takes down those who would harm women and children. He's screwed. Putin's main fear is bankruptcy. He's got fear that he's run out of money. I'm telling you, he's robbing his own church, and he's being taken down by his foolish actions will take him down. Also, he's having a health crisis, but I've always suspected that he was ultimately a heroin dealer. Putin the heroin dealer. That he was sampling. Look, how much did they make a month when he was working in Berlin? How much were they getting paid? He was living in a crappy studio, right? Eating crappy East German food, handling their security, and then Putin decides that he's going to do what exactly? What were they starting to do? They started smuggling heroin, cheap heroin, right? Black tar in from Afghanistan in an attempt to take down the West. Who was the person that was overseeing that? Who's the thug? So rumors started to circle that he was getting shot up, or he was shooting up, as he was moving product in and out of the West. Prigozhin, who ended up getting assassinated, was most likely also making billions off of the drug trade, which was, they were making their money in crypto, wheeling and dealing drug sales. His main supplier, Prigozhin, and then he gets taken out, right? So that is the sad story of Putin, and that is the sad story of his, possible relationship to drug. Well, we can't go. We have to say allegedly. Yes. I know. Totally healthy. There's nothing medically wrong. Doesn't he look like your typical? Wouldn't you love to bring him home to mama? Well, I don't know. Any of you done drugs any of you know? I see a drug addict. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes, he was a bad boy. All right. Trump's current health status. What do you think, folks? Do you think that Trump is on his way out? What do you think's going on with Trump's health? I don't know. Let's take a look at Trump. We know that he now feels he's a loser. What he fears is becoming a loser, right? He fears that he's going to be that loser. He's losing at the craps table, right? At the roulette wheel. He keeps losing. E. Jean Carroll, he sees these as omens. What happened with his name getting taken out of the Kennedy Center. For him, these are omens. Remember what I said? Jeanine Pirro, he was going to go after her because she is reminding him that he's a loser. He's lost again. The affinity pool, another thing. He was a loser. What they did with the ballroom, loser. The fact that he can't keep his name at the Kennedy Center, loser. E. Jean Carroll, loser. So for him, it's the economy, loser. All of this is one bad streak after another. His seventh house is death and transformation. His situation has changed. One of the things I keep seeing over and over is that Trump attempts to gain power by being difficult. So Trump attempts to get his power back by being difficult. No, you can't make me. No, you can't make me. No. Here comes September. What's happening in September? September 15th, right around. Wow, we've got a little over a month. Are they reviewing the budget? Is that correct? The budget has to get approved? Okay, so what would likely happen is that Trump would be refusing to sign the budget. You better give me money for my war, and I'm still in charge, and I have the power. So this is the temper tantrum of the child. And you have death of his situation. He's losing power. Democratic strategists want to keep him in power because J.D. Vance, we don't need a healthier version of Trump. We don't need a healthier MAGA. If J.D. Vance comes in and he's got all that energy and he's got plenty of time while he's in the spotlight as president to rev up his run in 2028, that's not good for us, right? 2027. For the 2028. The point is this. A lot of strategists think, no, just let him slowly collapse. Do not let Vance get anywhere near, because he's being endorsed by Turning Point, and that could become, he could be elected, right, in 2027. And so, and also a healthier, stronger version of Trump would mean pushing more of Trump's agenda, those conservative agendas. So a lot of people think, no, we're fine. Just let him collapse for the next 18 months or whatever. But you have death over Trump. I don't know. You guys get to decide. You're the Democratic Party. If you are a registered Democrat, it's your party. What do you want to do? We have this refusal to cooperate, hopes and fears, King of Wands, which is an aggressive energy against him that seeks boundaries, time and space. Remember, his final outcome is health constraints. Archangel Michael, we talk about, or Archangel Raphael, excuse me. Different archangels are different realms. The world of healing, right? Recuperation, meditation, mantras, deep recovery. That realm, that's the realm of Raphael. That's the peaceful energy you get when you're around somebody who's sick and they're recovering and they just need to rest. Healing, recovery, hospitals, chapels where people are praying for those who are healing. That's where you'll find the energy of Raphael. Raphael is also the shaman and the LGBTQ community. That's not an accident. That's because many times shamans were LGBTQ. I love how she adds the little pink tights. And he's handing over the omega-3s. Take your omega-3s. Yes, the shaman. All right, pulling the roots. Pulling the roots. The Klinket would call it pulling the roots. All right, and then the clarification over issues with Trump's health. He's going to refute. Look, he views, to understand his mentality, Trump views the U.S. budget as his bank account. And he gets to spend, it's his money. It's not your money. From Trump's perspective, it's my money. So Four of Pentacles is frugality or holding the coin. He's not going to approve the budget until you do what I want. The president who refuses to sign. Emperor is the president. No, you can't make me. And then the hope and the fear is that this aggressive person who's coming after him will get his wish, and then there's a competition over power. I think we're going to have serious problems with Trump shutting down. I think we're going to have some serious problems getting the budget passed. I have to be honest with you guys with those cards. I think that he desperately wants to reclaim his power, and the only way he can do that is by basically threatening the House and refusing to sign the new budget. It's the only power he has left. He's lame duck. Netanyahu is rejecting the Gaza peace until Hamas is fully disarmed. Yes, because it violates the 5 phases. He's correct. I agree with Netanyahu. And it's because Hamas wants to be part of the Oasis. And when Oasis was first pitched to them, they loved the idea because they thought that they were going to be rewarded for October 7th and given the Oasis. So Hamas thought that they and their families would move into Oasis. And this is the problem with what happened when the Oasis plan got leaked. Great, we want an Oasis. We're going to get houses and cars, and we're going to be right at the border, and we're going to take more land. So they loved the idea. And so then when it came out that phase 2 was that they would be exiled, and that it was the collaborators that are getting Oasis, those people that want peace, collaborators, those people that are opposed to Hamas, that's when the fighting started to happen over this prize land and this deal. So the Board of Peace started making deals with Hamas. Hamas wants to control who gets hired. It's not up to Hamas because Hamas doesn't want to give the Bedouins and the anti-Hamas people who want to be part of the Abraham Accords. That's the fight. And so Netanyahu is correct that the people that are going into Oasis are collaborators and those Gazans that want peace and are working, not a bunch of terrorists that are holding the people of Gaza hostage. Yeah. They'll work it out, but no, we zero chance that Hamas is going to be a part of this. The whole point is to get away from Hamas. All right, Joel Tilson, who will be the Democratic candidate for Pontus in 2028? Oh my God, is that not a question? You know, a lot of people are keen on Mark Kelly. Let's take a look. It can't be another senator. We can't lose our senators. Let me just look at Mark Kelly. People are saying, great, give it to him and give it to Klobuchar. Or no. We can't lose our Senate. A governor is, like Whitman is fine. A governor is fine, but we don't want to go, or a former governor for VP, but we don't want to go having people stepping away from Senate positions. Yeah, Klobuchar was one of the names that got pushed around as his VP. Elizabeth Warren. He is really getting attacked. When you go into the energy of of Mark, what's his name? Mark, did I, what, oh, why am I swear I'm losing it today. Bashir, maybe, yeah. Um, Mark Kelly, thank you. God, where's my brain today? Mark Kelly. When you go into Mark Kelly's energy, major attacks, Seven of Cups and Nine of Wands, tells me that Mark Kelly is extremely threatening to the Republican Party, to the point where they want to take him down now before he runs. So there is a war on Mark Kelly. He's got the star over him. His crossing card is the Queen of Pentacles. He's also got financial backing. Hopes and fears, what's above him, justice. What sits below him, walking away from everything. The Empress. This guy will get endorsement. Kelly has a really good chance of, look at that. Look at this funding coming in for Kelly. He gets his wish. If Kelly wants it, he has a very good chance of winning. But dang, they are really going after him in a big way. Look at this. Defending and protecting himself from attack. His House of Opposition, they are on top of him. Kelly, they're trying to like false accusations, the whole Megillah. Six of Cups in his hopes of fears, which is, look at this fighting. They are really scared of him. Whoa. Oh, hi, Vicky. Vicky Lewis is here. It's crazy. Those cards, it's just like, the best way to describe it would be that they are just scared. Oh my God, Mark Kelly, we can't beat him. Oh, we don't have a candidate that's this popular. We don't have a candidate. He comes from Arizona. He goes with they picked a female candidates Midwest. That's why people were going with ideas about Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, because of this idea of Midwest appeal, because originally, well, Klobuchar is originally from Michigan, right? And but I think, isn't she running for governor or something? Elizabeth Warren went to Boston, but originally from Oklahoma, and she attracts more of a progressive, so that would be huge if he were to pick Elizabeth Warren. I think that I don't think that the Republicans could pick a better combination than Mark Kelly and Elizabeth. I think they would wipe the floor with the competition, because they would have a progressive as a VP. I think it would be really hot. I think that would be a really tough to beat. Yeah. Right-wing Republicans weren't going to vote for a progressive anyway, but a MAGA might. You know what I mean? They're just as concerned as the left about the loss of jobs, right? So you have to, so that might be a really great, strong ticket. I know. Now you're thinking about it too. That's good. All right, Joel Tilson. She's younger than Biden was when he was VP. Cheers. Remember that. All right. Will Ron Paul be punished for his cruel treatment of Dr. Fauci? Well, I just think that he's a horrible person. I'm sorry. I don't like to speak ill of anybody, but Ron Paul, give me a break. What a disaster. Not just him, but all of the Republicans. I think they're just damn delusional. They're picking a fight with a frickin' old physician over, I mean, like, what a bunch of weirdos. I don't see anything coming from this Fauci. No, it just looks like they're beating up an old man. He's starting to have health challenges, by the way. No, it blows up. There's no grounds. There's no political grounds. They're just trying to, look, public health under Republicans is a disaster. I think we can agree. I'm sorry if you're a Republican and you feel differently, but COVID, what a disaster. And what's happening right now with measles and rubella and mumps coming back, and now I think there was a polio case. Are you kidding me? Polio? I mean, and now this E. coli problem, this problem with these bacteria in the food supply. We're also worried about Ebola, right? Ebola has been detected. It's back in Africa, 75% mortality rate. What happens if it makes its way into the United States? We're not set up for this. All right, was Russia's survival despite sanctions due to China's help and trade? I think that they worked very hard to become independent and to be able to produce their own food with their own grain, their own potatoes and carrots and onions and cabbage. They do very little importing. The idea was that they wanted to be able to make their own weapons. They wanted to be as independent as possible. Their main exports are oil and vodka and caviar, right? So this is what they are. And some pharmaceuticals and some minerals, right? Like potassium and hard metals coming out of Siberia, right? So it was smart what Russia did, that they could be economically independent in the event of something like this. And I would encourage all countries to do that. You don't want to be like some of these island nations where you're completely helpless. In a sense, that's what works against Hawaii's independence, was that they were always going to be dependent on others just to feed their population, right? Yeah, the islands in Hawaii were never set up to have that large of a population. That's why everything is so expensive, is they have to ship so much food in, right? They don't have enough land for cattle to graze, or any animals to graze, really. So you're living on canned meat, right? So what becomes popular in an island nation like Hawaii? Spam, right? Imported spam, right? A quarter of a gallon is $8 for milk, right? So that's the problem if if you're not independent. So very early, Russia wanted to be independent. Ace of Pentacles, ability to make their own money. Issues regarding trade, hope and fear, the damage to existing trade. Six of Cups, trying to get old people back, bring back, and Magician card would indicate that Russia will recover. They will recover quickly within 2 to 3 years after the war ends, I would say, with those types of cards. But I don't think Putin has a future. Was reports of U.S. weapons shortages false to lower Iran's readiness? Well, there were also concerns that the defense dome that Israel is using against Hezbollah and Iran was also running low, which is why Israel's moving very quickly to create their own defense system in case the United States no longer wants to fund them. So, Knight of Cups, you have arms dealers. You have various different companies that are commissioned to make arms that basically can produce really rapidly. And it looks to me like arms dealers, companies contracted to make arms, are able to supply adequate, because Knight of Cups is like a diplomat offering the stress of the situation, the war, hopes and fears, Four of Swords, and then final outcome is a Two of Cups. So I'm not seeing a problem with arms. It just has to do with the contracts for which companies are going to be producing them. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. All right, Max Miller. How are you guys feeling about this case? It's pretty wild. His father-in-law is a senator, is that correct? And even his father-in-law has said the guy's a nightmare. I'm not a fan of his father-in-law. He dropped an F-bomb during the Fauci hearing and accused Fauci of all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is like the Munsters, you know. This is a pretty screwed up family, you know. I think I would prefer the Munsters, actually, or the Adam family to these people, because but this is a pretty crazy family. I think we can all agree with Max Miller. What do you guys think? Max Miller, what's going on with you? Holding his guns. Didn't he have to resign soon? Doesn't he have to give his resignation soon? Well, he's presenting as King of Swords, so that is pretty icy. You know, that is rigid and cold, and the window closes for Ohio GOP to replace Rep. Max Miller on the ballot. Senator Jim Banks no longer endorses him and says that he should be removed. Child abuse claims. Democrat Brian Poindexter, an iron worker, is in the spotlight of Ohio's 7th Congressional District, thinks he can. Probably, but you know, the problem again is narcissism. King of Swords is a rigid, cold ice king. He is chiseled ice, and Max Miller presents as the Ice King. His house of opposition gets its wish. His enemy gets its wish. This is exactly what the Democrats wanted. Sure, bring in another psychopath. Right now it's looking great for the Dems because the House of Opposition gets its wish, and the House of Opposition is the Democrats. Here's Congress. What the hell? Be ethical. You don't want to lose your party. Be ethical. And you were on a. I think Max Miller's going to lose to a Democrat, to be honest with you. Yeah. Oh well. That's all I got to say. All right, well, the post office survived despite Trump. Yeah, it's a very popular institution, right? Americans love the post office. We don't want to lose our post office. I send medicine to my patients, my herbal medicines, via the post office. It's probably going to become privatized. Mm-hmm. You have death, and in the grave can be a physical death. So we could be seeing the end of the post office, even though it's wildly popular. Rapid changes, and then Queen of Pentacles businesswoman could be that some kind of hybrid or some kind of independent company winds up getting contracts with United States Postal. Yeah. You know, this is like a hybrid or homogeneous, you know, it goes increasingly to this business world, which is not good, but you know, we are losing the best parts of the country. What can I tell you? 50,000 Israelis moved out of Israel this year. Who's leaving Israel? Liberals, progressives, academics, intellectuals, people that believe in unity and integration and inclusion. So who's staying? Religious extremists, fanatics, people who think the earth is 6,000 years old, women who walk around in burqas. And so what's happening is that Israel is moving into becoming an increasingly extremist country that 90-something% of Jewish people are like, what the hell is that? So over 90% of Jewish people walked. Think about that. You have a country that's supposed to represent your people, and 90% of them said, we're out. Isn't that crazy? All right, internal sound bites. Will you be addressing all of those political questions? You're darn right we did. Darn tootin'. Yeah, darn tootin'. All right, we got our prayers in. And it was announced that Biden is succumbing to his cancer. What is the future looking like? Oh, I'm so sorry. What type of cancer did he have? Oy, gewaltig mir. I didn't hear about this. We love our Joe. Well, what a great life he lived. Did he not live a great life? prostate cancer. It's metastasized to the bone and it's very painful. Interesting. Wow. Well, we just have to pray for him. Yeah, I'm just going to send good energy. Oh, yes. Hi, Robin. Naimod. Nice to meet you. And from Southern California, prayers for my cousin Annie, who recently had a stroke and lives in Portland. She is very spiritual. Oh, yeah, death doula. Oh, well, Anne, we sent prayers to Annie. Oh, black coffee, yes. Milosevic was arrested, yeah, and transferred to the Hague trial. Prisons died from a heart disease. Oh, interesting. So it was natural causes. Well, I would still have my channel. You can do YouTube from anywhere in the world. I'm not going to Alpha Centauri. I'm just thinking about going to Haifa to finish my my research for peace zones. I'm a peace activist. And yeah. So that's what I'm doing. All right, Annie Hamlet. Hello, my love. Yeah, someone's got to do it. Mine's a life worth fighting for, right? That's what we all have to say. Mine is a life worth fighting for. If you believe in peace. Kind of like, what do they say about fighting for peace is like, I know, working towards peace, right? We are working towards peace. Yeah. Khomeini's son is in grave condition, according to reports. Yes. Mujahideen is leaving the world. That's what they're saying. Yeah. So the president is going to have to make a deal with Saudi Arabia and foreign governments in order to rebuild the new Iran. Their leaders are gone. Their leaders are gone. That sounds delicious, Antoinette's granddaughter. Eating a bomb pop, waiting for Beyond Burger and air fry. Oh my goodness. Nam yo ringekyu to you as well. Nummy, nummy, nummy. You know what I've been doing? I've been doing salad. And not just any salads. I've been doing the Mediterranean salads. So I got the Pinterest recipe for the salad, and I went ahead and posted it. If you guys want to, well, there isn't really much to post. It's pretty simple, but it is peaches. The peaches are in season right now. Yes, yes. In season, yes, we like that. Yes, delicioso. So what I've been doing is you can grill the peaches if you want to make it really fancy. Some people will grill them beforehand. And that's really rather lovely. But what I like to do, I didn't do that. I did not do that. What I did was I stuffed them with some Aphrodite feta, which is the authentic Greek feta with the ewe and the goat. Yes. But there's also another one. There's this sheep and goat's cheese. Yes, that's rather delicious. Yummy, yum, yum. Yes, and I ended up putting it online for people. Here it is. I wanted to show you guys this. It's so difficult to find. I'm learning Pinterest. Who here is into Pinterest? You guys can follow me on Pinterest. I'm doing affiliate marketing with, stuff I love. But this is the salad. Doesn't it look pretty? So, you just make a regular feta cheese salad, but try and get the good feta. Don't get the cow's milk feta. Whole Foods has the real feta with a sheep. right? With sheep's cheese, yeah. And then what I did is I did some mixed greens. Different mixed greens I like to use are like the arugula. You can grow your own if you're afraid of any spooky bugs or anything in the lettuce. Um, but I think I'm fine. Yeah, I like arugula and I like radicchio. So I put in some baby lettuce and then sliced peaches. Like I said, you can grill them beforehand if you like, and some people will drizzle a little honey or a little bit of maple syrup on top of those. But it's up to you if you want it to be sweeter. And then you put those in, and and then the dressing I used was the balsamic vinaigrette. Looks like a lot. You can see a lot of other people are trying the same. Look how many people tried the same salad. This is really popular salad right now because the peaches are in season. Yeah, but yeah, so I'm just going crazy on these organic peaches right now. And then here's another image of the one I made from home. And it's just really a nice combination. So I thought I would share that with you guys, give you guys some ideas. And then the other one was I bought a block of blue cheese. I bought a block of feta and a block of blue cheese. And then the blue cheese is for the Mediterranean salad, where I put in some avocado and some garbanzo beans. The salad that I had last night for protein, I put some cannelloni beans in. But the idea is you're trying to get to about 75 to 80% of your diet being plants and 20 to 25% animal protein. You're going to be okay. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yes, we talked about how health conscious she was. She was a vegan. And she had a smoothie, organic smoothie every morning. And so we don't want to go predicting somebody. I know some people are making psychic predictions. I think it's better to just have Michael, her husband, tell us if he chooses to what happened. But the point I was making is that things happen, and even if you're doing everything in your power to take care of yourself, you can slip and fall in the bath, and that's a subdermal hematoma. One minute your wife is having a shower, the next thing you know, you hear a bang, and you're rushing her to a hospital. Boom, she's gone. Had lived on a vegan, whole food, plant-based. I'm not saying this happened. I'm just saying that death comes for all of us, and sometimes we can do everything right and still you can choke, or you can get a subdermal hematoma, or there are so many things that can happen even when you're taking great care of yourself. That was the point I was making. Yes, a better way. Oh yeah, Ohio. Yeah, Ohio's a great state. I just feel like the air is so clean when I travel through Ohio, along the Ohio River. At least that was my experience, unless things have changed. But I just feel like there's a breeze and clean air as you drive along that Ohio River. I just really liked it. I just thought it was beautiful. I thought, this is a great state. But then I heard that you guys have a lot of flooding. It's beautiful to look at, but you guys turn into like parts of the area, when it floods, it becomes like a wetlands. Isn't that cool? Not for the people that live there. Yeah. All right, you guys. Yeah, they are changing. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. All right, we're going to go ahead and close. We've been here for low audio? Are you guys getting low audio with me? I think I'm up pretty high. Let me check my audio. Really? I don't think so. Oops. Where did I go? I'm trying to listen to my audio. Are you guys having trouble hearing it? Yep. I think my audio is pretty good because I had it on high. Let's see. Yep. I think it sounds good to me from my end. Yeah, I just, yeah. Also, you can go into your own computer settings, go to sound, output, and increase your output. And that'll increase how loud it is. It might be that your output on your computer is down and you need to raise your output. All right, we're out of here. Thank you so much for hanging with me. If you need to see me for a reading, Dr. Whimsy Anderson, you can book me through Booksy, and then I will call you at the appointed time. Always remember, though, that I am not that I am on Pacific Coast Standard Time. So if you set an appointment for 11 a.m. and you're living in New York, that's gonna, it's gonna be 11 a.m. my time. So it'll be like 2 p.m. your time. So just be aware of that. Times are important times. Yeah. All right. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. You've been awesome. Thank you. Bye.